So everyone online was absolutely stunned, myself included, when Islam Makhachev, the newly crowned lightweight champion, jumped onto social media and sent out this incredibly heartfelt message after witnessing Petr Yan pull off a truly unexpected victory over Merab Dvalishvili. But you know what really caught everyone's attention and had the whole MMA community buzzing? It was how strongly Islam praised Merab, even though the bantamweight star had just suffered this crushing, undeniable defeat. Islam, now sitting proudly at the top, made it abundantly clear that he had nothing but huge, genuine respect for the Georgian fighter, openly viewing him as one of the biggest, most formidable forces in the entire sport. To him, Merab wasn't just another contender in the stacked division. He was someone whose relentless work ethic and incredible consistency had legitimately pushed him into the same conversations as Islam himself, when people debated who the best pound-for-pound athletes in the world truly were. Yet at the same time, Islam didn't ignore the man who shocked everyone by reclaiming gold. He offered a proud, respectful salute to Petr Yan, acknowledging just how monumental this moment was for him. This victory had literally dragged Yan back to the very top of the bantamweight division, after what felt like years of setbacks and crushing disappointments, including that strange, controversial disqualification that had prematurely ended his first championship run. Islam's reaction made it crystal clear that he felt Yan's arduous journey back to the belt was more than just deserved. It was earned through sheer will and determination. The two fighters shared deep regional roots, and Islam seemed genuinely, visibly happy to see a fellow countryman rise to the top once again. An incredibly classy move, if you ask me.
Tell me what that fight was like for you. Your jab was working, your patience was key, you were fast, you were able to stuff so many of those takedowns. Overall, what lent itself to the most success in your opinion?
The entire length of the fight, I was cold-blooded, cold-headed, and warm-hearted.
I love that approach to it. In terms of your weapons, what felt best in there? What felt most effective?
You know, everything worked. The jab worked, the takedown worked, didn't let him take me down. I mean, everything kind of worked out. The preparation really worked.
What were your thoughts as you got into the championship rounds against a guy who is known to never really tire?
You know, the last thoughts I had in those last rounds was me hearing my cornerman saying, you have to leave your entire self in these rounds, because I knew that if I wasn't going to do it right now, I was going to be blaming myself for not working all the way.
Now, while fans were still absolutely buzzing about Islam's incredibly thoughtful post-fight reflections, attention quickly and inevitably shifted to Dana White, who also chimed in with his reaction to Petr Yan's truly impressive performance. Dana was, by all accounts, incredibly impressed by just how clean, sharp, absolutely dominant Yan looked inside the octagon that night. He really seemed to be on another level entirely. The UFC CEO unequivocally explained that Yan had clearly, definitively earned the win based on what unfolded during the fight itself. There was simply no debating it. But here's the interesting twist. Rather than simply placing all the blame squarely on Merab's performance, Dana brought up how utterly exhausting Merab's recent run had been. According to Dana, Merab had been pushing himself through a brutal, unforgiving schedule filled with tough matchups, one after another, and the sheer wear and tear from that relentless gauntlet may have very well slowed him down when it mattered most in that crucial title fight. Still, Dana, in his typical fashion, absolutely refused to dismiss Merab's effort or his heart. He publicly showed immense admiration for Merab's undeniable grit and his unwavering willingness to fight literally anyone at any time, which is honestly a rare quality in the sport. And in Dana's eyes, Merab's toughness, his sheer ability to absorb punishment and keep coming forward remained one of the strongest, most defining parts of his identity as a fighter. Dana made sure that people understood that nights like UFC 32 are inherently unpredictable, proving yet again that absolutely anything can happen in a high-stakes title fight, where the pressure is immense and the stakes couldn't be higher.
The main event, Petr Yan, a masterclass there. Can you just talk about his performance, especially given how one-sided that fight was the first two times that those guys competed?
Yeah, it's incredible. You know, we were looking for a fight, and we were in Jersey, and Merab was the main event of that fight, and we ended up signing him. And Matt Serra literally told me that night, this guy is going to be your world champion, and he's a special fighter, I'm telling you. And Matt Serra was absolutely right. One of the toughest toughest fighters that I've ever come across. And let's just say, Merab and I didn't get off on the right foot early on. I have nothing but respect for him and everything that he's accomplished. And yeah, and for Petr to come in and do what he did tonight. And I mean, the body shots and the head shots and the wrestling. I mean, it was an incredibly high level fight that was, you know, what a hell of a way to end the ESPN era.
It really was. Do you think, I mean, there is a case for a trilogy, right? I mean, I'm sure Merab's going to need some time off after that, but I mean, are you thinking about trilogy right now between these two, or do you feel like Petr Yan did enough tonight to move on to other challenges?
You know the answer to this question. I'm not thinking about anything tonight other than, you know, that tonight was a great night of fights and yeah, I don't know.
But let me tell you, Dana's night wasn't entirely free of drama or unexpected curveballs. After diligently dealing with all the pressing questions about Yan and Merab, he suddenly found himself pulled into a completely separate and rather intriguing issue involving the reigning heavyweight champion, Tom Aspinall. It turns out Tom wasn't exactly thrilled about something Dana had previously said, and he didn't keep those concerns quiet. He bravely brought those very concerns directly to his own audience through a candid video posted on his personal YouTube channel, which definitely got everyone talking and stirring up controversy. Tom believed that Dana had made some comments about his eye injury that simply didn't sit well with him, causing a bit of a stir in the MMA community. So, when reporters naturally asked Dana about this escalating situation after UFC 3T3, he genuinely seemed a bit confused, almost perplexed about exactly what Tom was so upset about. Dana, visibly trying to recall the details, explained that he genuinely didn't remember every single detail of what he had said earlier, which is understandable given how many interviews he does on a daily basis. However, he did clearly recall mentioning that he thought, at the time, Tom's eyesight would ultimately be okay, suggesting he wasn't trying to cause any harm or disrespect to the heavyweight champ.
Is there, and his demeanor initially seemed to be one of someone who was upset, annoyed. And then he said the line that has been dissected.
You know, Tom didn't want to continue in the fight. So
when you heard his comments, how did you react?
Slightly disappointing because he was already giving updates on my health and he had no idea what had gone on. So disappointing, mate. Disappointing.
If he would have come up and said, poked in the eye, illegal, couldn't see, couldn't continue, serious injury, etc., people would have laid off. They would have taken cues from him.
It definitely didn't help the cause.
Have you spoken to him since?
No.
Is that disappointing?
I've spoken to the UFC since, but I've not spoken to, me and Dana don't really speak like that anyway, so.
You're the heavyweight champion of the world. You're a huge star. You've taken fights on short notice. You've been backup fighter. You stayed on the sidelines for, etc. It surprises me that you have no kind of relationship with him.
I don't really know what to say. That's the way it is.
Has he sent you a text or DM in the aftermath?
No, nothing like that. Nothing like that. He actually, he started giving updates that there was nothing wrong with my eye when that isn't the case. So,
right.
No, I've done a lot for the UFC. So yeah, disappointing.
So Dana really tried to completely clear the air here, emphasizing that his comments were absolutely not meant to downplay Tom's serious condition, nor were they intended to suggest that Tom wasn't actually hurt or dealing with something legitimate. He insisted, quite emphatically, that he never ever intended anything negative or dismissive towards the heavyweight champ. Instead, he said he was simply sharing the information he had at the time, which he stressed was based on his understanding of the situation, and he really emphasized this point to drive it home. He pointed out that the UFC had people constantly checking in on Tom, meticulously monitoring his health, and making sure he had absolutely everything he needed for his recovery process. Dana even made sure to highlight that he wasn't speaking as a medical professional himself. He was merely repeating what he had been told by others who were closely following Tom's recovery journey and providing updates. According to Dana, the misunderstanding probably happened because Tom didn't see the full context of his comment, implying that a snippet might have been taken out of proportion or misconstrued. Dana stood firm in his belief, saying that he never ever meant to make Tom feel dismissed or unsupported, which is a crucial distinction that he wanted everyone to understand.
Tom Aspinall did interviews recently saying that his eye is not better. He was a little bit disappointed with some comments you made. Have you spoke to Tom? Do you know anything about that? And what's your reaction to what he said?
I have not. Yeah, I mean, I get it. I don't remember exactly what I said. What did I say? That is,
just said you think that
I think his eyes are okay. Yeah.
Since normal pay-per-view, David with MMA Myanmar.
Hold on, so I'm still talking to this guy.
Sorry, my bad.
Here's the thing. So obviously, and I know Tom said, I haven't even talked to him and all that stuff, but we have people all over him right now, checking up on him, making sure he's good. Does he need any help or, any specialists? Yeah, I'm no doctor. I'm just saying what I've heard. And that was in no way, it wasn't said in a way that they're like, oh, what do you think? I said, I think he's fine. Or it wasn't like that. I said, I think Tom's eyes are good. He's going to take some time, heal, come back to, that's all I said. I wasn't saying anything negative toward him. And I think that things can be taken out of context, or he didn't see what I said, because I don't even remember what the fuck I said. But never once did I say anything negative about him or, in a derogatory way. I'm sure he's upset and fired up, and, he'll get better, and we'll get him.
Once that particular storm around Tom Aspinall finally settled down, reporters, as they always do, immediately shifted gears to another incredibly hot conversation surrounding UFC matchmaking, a topic that consistently ignites passionate debates among fans across the globe. You see, fans had been vocally voicing their frustration, which was pretty palpable online, about certain recent fight bookings, and they were incredibly curious about Dana's actual thought process behind these decisions, especially in the wake of UFC. One of the main controversies, which truly baffled many people, came from the surprising matchup between Paddy Pimblett and Justin Gaethje. Many believe this fight simply didn't make any sense, based on the vast differences in rankings and their respective experience levels, leading to a lot of head-scratching and confused reactions. Another big complaint centered around the immediate rematch between Alexander Volkanovski and Ilia Topuria, which was controversially scheduled for an upcoming UFC event. People were genuinely confused as to why that particular rematch was happening so soon after their previous encounter, and they desperately wanted Dana to explain the rationale behind it. But Dana, being Dana, didn't dive deep into elaborate strategic explanations or lengthy justification. Instead, he kept things incredibly blunt and straightforward, almost to the point of being dismissive of the criticism entirely. He simply said the matchups unfolded the way they did because of the crucial decisions made in the war room, which is where UFC executives and matchmakers fiercely debate and finalize every single fight card with meticulous detail. And even though the fans weren't exactly thrilled with these decisions, Dana didn't seem particularly bothered or swayed by the criticism whatsoever. He made it crystal clear that these decisions aren't random or thrown together carelessly. There is always a very deliberate, calculated plan behind them, even if the outside world doesn't always get to see it or fully understand the reasoning. But then the conversation took an even sharper turn, becoming even more focused and intense, when a reporter boldly brought up Arman Tsarukyan, pointedly calling him the odd man out in the stacked lightweight division. Many fans and pundits alike genuinely believed Arman deserved to be right back in the thick of title conversations, especially given how incredibly well he had been performing recently, putting on dominant displays that showcased his elite skills. But Dana White, oh boy, Dana had a very different view on that situation entirely. He made it clear that Arman wasn't being pushed aside or overlooked intentionally. Instead, he explained that Arman had previously been offered a massive career-defining opportunity, a title shot no less, against the reigning champion Islam Makhachev at a previous UFC event, but here's the critical part that changed everything. Arman had to pull out at the last minute, and Dana felt that kind of withdrawal, that kind of last-minute change, simply couldn't be overlooked or brushed aside without consequences for the division. Now Dana was crystal clear about why this matters so much to the organization. From his perspective, an immense amount of work, meticulous planning, and significant investment goes into preparing championship fights, and to allow last-minute changes without any repercussions would completely disrupt months of intense preparation for everyone involved in the process. He didn't blame Arman personally for the situation. He just made it unequivocally clear that situations like that cause immense chaos and disrupt months of painstaking preparation for literally everyone involved, from the other fighter to the entire organization and promotional machine. And because of that, Dana firmly believes Arman now has to fight his way back into the title conversation, rather than just jumping straight into another title shot as if nothing happened. According to Dana, rankings alone, while important, don't automatically guarantee a fighter another chance at gold. Reliability and dependability matter just as much, if not more, in the high-stakes world of championship fights, where everything is on the line. Dana's stance was firm and unyielding on this matter. Arman would eventually get his opportunity again, but only after proving himself once more inside the unforgiving cage.
He had an opportunity, and you guys know how that played out, and he's gonna have to work his way back. I don't give a shit what the number says. He's gonna have to work his way back. There's just too much goes into this for those type of things to happen. You know, we had a little, we were talking back in my room tonight, and we were talking about you know, all the crazy shit that's happened over the last 20-something years. But you can't do that. You can't get the opportunity and then it can't end that way. So he's got to work his way back.
And as the press conference rolled on, another incredibly important and slightly concerning update emerged, this time related to the flyweight champion, Alexandre Pantoja. You see, during the UFC 3033 post-show, the always-on-point Megan Olivi shared some rather crucial medical details about Pantoja's condition after he left the octagon in visible pain, an image that definitely worried fans watching at home. Many, myself included, had initially assumed he suffered an elbow injury because that's exactly where the discomfort seemed to be localized and where he was clutching throughout the post-fight moments. But here's the crazy part that caught everyone off guard. Megan dramatically revealed that the UFC's chief medical physician, Dr. Jeff Davidson, had personally informed her that it was actually a left shoulder dislocation, and not just any dislocation either. It was one that had incredibly popped back into place entirely on its own, right there in the octagon without any assistance. Now, for those who might not know much about these injuries, this means his shoulder literally slipped out of its socket and then, without any external help or manipulation from medical staff, returned to its normal position, which often causes serious, searing pain and can lead to lingering weakness for quite some time afterward. You know, the kind of injury that just makes you wince when you hear about it happening to someone.
Do you have a medical update yet on Pantoja? Do we know what his status is?
Yeah, they popped his shoulder back in. I thought it was the elbow.
I did too.
No, it was not the elbow.
Shoulder?
It was his shoulder. And they popped it back in backstage. Now they got to do, you know, MRIs and check out the ligaments and see how it is. So we don't have a time frame on how long he'll be out.
Despite what must have been an incredibly rough, painful night for Alexandre Pantoja, he was thankfully able to walk out with his family, albeit while wearing a sling to support his injured shoulder, which was a reassuring sight for many concerned fans. According to the update provided by medical staff, he was resting comfortably and, crucially, not in any immediate danger, which was the biggest relief everyone needed to hear. However, the exact recovery time and the full extent of the damage would ultimately depend on what the upcoming scans and medical evaluations would reveal, adding an element of uncertainty to the situation. This led to a bit of a classic broadcasting moment, sparking a moment of genuine confusion when Joe Rogan, on the live broadcast, questioned whether Megan had actually meant the shoulder or the elbow, trying to get absolute clarity on the injury for viewers at home. But Megan, being the true professional she is, stood firmly by the information she had been given, patiently explaining that she wasn't guessing or speculating in the slightest about the diagnosis. She was simply relaying the exact wording provided by the chief physician himself, word for word, to ensure accuracy. Later on, to completely dispel any lingering doubts or confusion among fans, she took to social media and confirmed once again that the injury was indeed the shoulder, emphatically not the elbow, adding that the medical team had meticulously triple-checked all the details to avoid any possible misunderstanding or misinformation spreading throughout the MMA community.
Former flyweight champion Alexandre Pantoja just dropped a video after a devastating first-round hand injury following his loss to Joshua Van at UFC 323.
When I see Joshua Van out the other side of the octagon, I believe I can finish him in the first round. That's what I try to do. Best camp of my life, best catch weight, best everything, you know. I feel so comfortable in the octagon. That's my octagon. That's my belt. That's everything I did in my life, in my whole life to that moment, you know. And it's not just about myself today. It's about Joshua Van, you know. Joshua Van, that's his destiny to win this belt tonight. I want to work very hard. I work out very hard all my life, and I'm going to work again, and I'm going to take my belt again, you know.
So when you put all these pieces together, All of these compelling storylines blended seamlessly to create an absolutely eventful and unforgettable fallout from UFC 33, extending far beyond the actual fights themselves and into the days following the event. Islam Makhachev, displaying nothing short of pure class and sportsmanship, reacted with incredible grace to the surprising outcome of the Bantamweight title fight, genuinely offering both heartfelt encouragement to Merab Dvalishvili and respectful recognition to Petr Yan for his triumphant performance. Meanwhile, Dana White spent a significant portion of his time answering a barrage of questions about the meticulously planned, yet often criticized fight card and matchmaking decisions. He also took the opportunity to skillfully clear up misunderstandings that had arisen with heavyweight champion Tom Aspinall and bravely defended decisions that had clearly caused a significant backlash among the passionate fan base who felt strongly about certain booking choices. Simultaneously, incredibly important updates surfaced about various fighters who were dealing with the immense physical toll of the event, highlighting both the inherent danger and the incredible dedication required in the brutal sport of mixed martial arts. By the end of the night, the entire MMA community had a truly colossal amount to talk about and dissect. From unexpected, crushing losses and incredibly long-awaited, triumphant comebacks to curious injuries, intriguing controversies, and the never-ending debate over the often contentious art of matchmaking that keeps fans engaged year-round. The raw energy and ripple effects from UFC 33 carried far beyond the confines of the cage, serving as a powerful reminder to everyone why this sport continues to captivate, thrill, and utterly engross fans around the entire world with its unpredictable nature.